Next up, we have Mark Gillespie, who's also going to say a few words. Mark's from the newly formed Justice for Palestine group.
Okay, thank you. I'd like you all to give yourself a good clap for turning out here today to have your say about what is happening in that part of the world. We're here today to express our disappointment with the Rudd government in their backing of the massacre, the slaughter that is happening in Palestine. Now, what I want to say, what we need to be clear about is Israel's solution will not work. It will not work. They've been using the heavy fist for years and years and years. They pushed the Palestinians out of Israel proper into the West Bank and Gaza. They occupied the West Bank and Gaza. Now they've gone back into the Gaza. They could push them out of the Gaza. They could push them out of the West Bank. They could push them into Jordan. They can push them into Egypt, but that will not bring peace. People will always fight back against this violence, this aggression, this injustice. They always will. It will not bring peace. What will bring peace to the Middle East is justice. And that's what we've got to get back to understanding, is the nature of the Israeli state. It is not, they present it as if it's this wonderful little peace-loving democracy in the middle of the Middle East. It's not a democracy. In the last couple of days, Arab parties inside Israel have been banned from running in upcoming elections. Now imagine if Mugabe had have done that in Zimbabwe. You know, our politicians would have been jumping up and down about how dictatorial Mugabe is. But when Israel bans Arab parties, they get away with it. The other thing we have to recognise too is that Hamas were democratically elected by the Palestinian people. The West may not like the way the Palestinians, who they voted for, but they should respect that vote. And they should negotiate with the people who have been elected by the Palestinian majority. Using the fist, using violence, using overwhelming military force will not bring peace. There will only be peace in the Middle East when there is justice. Thank you.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Okay, next up, we're going to hear from Ibrahim.
Woo! Ibrahim! For the children!
Today I'm speaking on behalf of all the children that are being slaughtered in Gaza, because Israel is stating that it's a war, but this isn't war, because they're dropping in nuclear bombs and heaps of nuclear weapons onto Gaza. They're firing at cemeteries. All the bones are being scattered on the streets because they're firing at cemeteries. And you aren't hearing all of this because the media is trying to hide it all. But the truth will come out one day, and it can start from today. If all of you can start helping, we need to tell Mr. Rudd that he's doing the wrong thing, and to stop everybody from supporting these Israeli people. They are firing at press, they're firing at schools, they're firing at children, they're firing at everybody, civilians, and heaps of people are victims of this. And so far, the amount of people who are dying in Gaza is more than the amount of people, Israelis, who died throughout the whole war between Israel and Palestine. So please support Gaza, and this is the least that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibrahim. I think that, like other speakers have already said, being here today is a really important part of building this ongoing campaign. And all around the world there have been thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people taking to the street against Israel and against what's happening in Gaza. It's time that the Australian government took heed of the massive support that there is in this country for Palestine and the massive opposition to what is taking place right now. As we said, we'll be presenting those letters later. But governments, there are governments around the world that have taken a stand. both Venezuela and Bolivia this morning have both broken all ties with Israel. This is what the Australian government should be doing. Next up we have Dave, who's also from the Justice for Palestine group.
Hello, my name is David McLagan, and I'm here today with you all because of the atrocities I'm seeing and reading about in Gaza against the civilians of Palestine. I'm here to show my solidarity for the people of Palestine, and more than that, we're all here from all walks of Australian life to show that this is more than an issue just for Palestinians in Gaza, more than just an issue for the Arabic and Muslim communities around the world. This is an issue for all of us, all people in all walks of life. It's an issue that affects all of us. Crimes against humanity, against innocent men, women and children will not be tolerated. No matter if they're committed by the West, by the East, by the North, by the South, not by anybody. I consider myself a very lucky person and thankful every day for the opportunities I've had. I have my health, my education, food, enough money to get by easily, and I don't live in the fear of military violence. Unfortunately, as we're being shown by what's happening in Gaza, not everyone has these opportunities. Neoliberal expansionist policies by an apartheid Israeli state are taking everything from the Palestinians, everything that a lot of us take for granted. Palestinians, like Australians, like Israelis, deserve the right to live, the right to freedom, the right to health and education. They do not deserve to watch their mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, families and friends killed in front of their eyes by a country whose annual military budget is 17 times greater than the GDP of Gaza. This is unacceptable. The fact that the apartheid Israeli state has had Gaza under lockdown in an open-air prison, rationing food, medical supplies, supplies for schools, this is unacceptable. I cannot just sit by and do nothing while such atrocities are occurring, like the Australian Labor government under the leadership of Prime Minister Kevin Rudds is doing. I'm standing here, right here today, out the front of Kevin Rudds' office to tell Mr. Rudds that the Australian people will not stand for these atrocities. I'm standing here to tell Mr. Rudds that the Australian people will not stand for our government doing nothing, even condoning the action of Israel by saying it's in self-defense. Shame.
Shame. Shame.
Mr. Rudd, this is not good enough. We are here to demand action from the Rudd government, to demand political isolation of the apartheid Israeli state. Thank you.
We have one final speaker today before the children here present the letters to Kevin Rudds, and you'll see that on the boxes here is the reality, the truth of Israel's war on Gaza. A young Palestinian boy watches as his mother dies from Israeli bullets. People need to see these images, and it's up to us to make sure that it gets out and that the people of this country see the reality of this war and increase the pressure on this government to isolate Israel, to cut all ties and to put on sanctions.